Yeah. Hi guys. So in the last session, we discussed about filter. So can you tell me what is filter and why we need to go for filter? Filter is used to trap each and every request that is coming to our application. We can customize the request and response which are dealing by our application. So basically filter is used to perform pre-processing and post-processing logic. So to execute pre-processing and post-processing of a request, we are going to use filter concept. Now, so today we are going to talk about another concept, that is session tracking. Right. So did you guys analyze what is the session tracking? Yeah. Can you tell me what is the session tracking? One. Session tracking. Session tracking is used to maintain user data. Okay. So now, fine. Observe carefully. We are using our applications, right? So many applications are there. We are using so many applications. Now let's go for Facebook application. So Facebook login page is same for everyone. Facebook login page is same for everyone. Once you log in into the Facebook, if I log in into the Facebook, my friends' posts will be displayed. If you log in into the Facebook, is it going to display all the data, or only your friend post will be displayed for you? Only your friend post will be displayed for you. If I log in, it will display my friend posts to me. Now, similarly, if you go for Gmail, when you log in into Gmail, then what will happen? So Gmail login page is same for everyone. When I go to this Gmail login page, then what will happen? What will happen when I log in into the Gmail? So when I log into Gmail, my inbox mails will be displayed. If you log into Gmail, your inbox details will be displayed. Now here, when we are accessing any application will display the data based on the user who logged in into that application. Are you guys getting my point? Now let's go for Amazon, amazon.in. So if you go to Amazon, so Amazon page is common for everyone. But if you log in into that page, the cart history will be different for you and for me. The order history will be different for you. Order history will be different for me. So that means user to user, it is going to change. User to user, it is going to change. Now let's go to our website. If I click on the login button, it will ask the password. And once you log in into our website, if I log in, faculty dashboard will display. If you log in, student dashboard will display. Is the student dashboard is common for everybody? No. So if you log in, core Java, advanced Java courses will display. If somebody join, whatever the courses they join, that courses data will be displayed in the dashboard. So that means here, every application requires to maintain, or every application requires to understand which user is logged in into our application. So to understand user information, we are going to perform session tracking. Session is nothing but user from login to till logout, that is called as user session. Now, user session will be represented from login to logout. So what operations that user is performing from login till logout, that a complete history will be available in the session. Now, in general, when we go for a web application, assume that, so this is my client or user, and now this is my server. User is trying to access my server. So this is a client application and this is server application. Client is sending one request to the server, guys. Assume that client is sending one request to the server. Server will process that request and the server will send response to the client. So this is a request and this is the response. Client is sending a request, server processes that request, server send a response. Once a server send the response back to the client, server will not remember who sent the request, what response we have sent. Server is a stateless component. What is this, guys? Server is a stateless component. Stateless means brainless. Server cannot remember anything. You gave me a request, I will process your request, I will send a response. That's it. Amara completed. When you send the next request, that next request is a new request for me. I don't know who are you. You send one request to me, I will process your request, I will send a response to you. Then when you send the second request to me, I will consider that it is a new request and I will process that request, I will send the response. When you send a third request, I will consider that it is a new request, I will process, I will send it. Because this client and server is communicating by using HTTP protocol. Client and server communicating by using HTTP protocol. This HTTP is a stateless protocol. It cannot remember anything. It is a stateless protocol. Now here we want to develop stateful application. We want to develop stateful application. Sir, why we need to develop a stateful application? See here, I'm going to my Gmail. I logged into Gmail. When I go for inbox, my application should understand that I already logged in. It has to get my inbox data. When I go for center, it has to understand that I am asking the sent item. It has to get my sent items. Okay. When you go for start, it has to get my mails only. Am I logging in every time or I am logging in only one time? Only one time. So Gmail application is remembering that I logged in into this application. My mail ID will be available. My inbox details it is going to display. My sent items it is going to display. My important items it is going to display for me. Are you able to follow this? Now, here client and server is available. Client and server communicating by using HTTP protocol. This HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol. What is the meaning of stateless protocol? It cannot remember the conversation happened between client and server. It can't remember that. It cannot remember the conversation which happened between client and server. If a server is not able to remember, how can I get my inbox data? How can I get my sent items data? How can I get my important mails? How can I get spam mails? How can I get trash mails? So for that we need to make sure our applications are stateful application. What is the meaning of a stateful application? Server should be able to remember which user logged in into the application. For that reason, we are going to implement session tracking. Session tracking is mainly used to develop stateful application. Stateful application means server should remember client information to process our request. If Gmail is not remembering my username, how Gmail can give me my sent items? How Gmail can give me my inbox items? See here, everybody can log in into Gmail. When you log in into your Gmail, can you see the mails which I have received? You cannot see my emails. I cannot see your emails, right? I logged in into Gmail. I'm clicking on several options, but still it is giving only my data. How it is giving only my data? Because Gmail application is developed as a stateful application. Gmail application developed as a stateful application. By default, every web application is stateless application only. Just make a point for that, guys. In web application, mainly two actors will be available. In web application, mainly two actors will be available. One is called as client. One is called as client. Second one is called server. In web application, mainly two actors will be available. One is called client. Second one is called server. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. Client and server will communicate. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. By using HTTP protocol. HTTP is stateless protocol. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. HTTP is stateless protocol. That means HTTP cannot remember conversation happened between client and server. In web application, mainly two actors will be available. One is called client, second one is called as server. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. So here HTTP is a stateless protocol. Client and server will communicate by using HTTP protocol. HTTP is a stateless protocol. That means HTTP cannot remember conversation between client and server. Conversation happened between client and server. The application which cannot remember client request, client data is called as stateless application. The application which cannot remember client data is called as stateless application. The application which cannot remember client data is called as stateless application. The application which cannot remember client data is called as stateless application. If we want our server to remember client data, then we need to make our application as stateful application. We need to make our application as stateful application. If we want our server to remember client data, then we need to make our application as stateful application. Example, based on logged in user, inbox mails should display. Based on logged in user, Amazon orders should display. Based on logged in user, Gmail inbox mail should display. Based on logged in user, Amazon order history will display. History should display. Based on the logged in user, purchased courses should display. Based on the logged in user, Gmail inbox mails should display. Based on the logged in user, Amazon order history should display. Based on the logged in user, purchased courses should display. To implement all the above functionalities, to implement all the above requirements, application should remember logged in user data. If I log in, my mails should display. If you log in, your mails should display. Based on the logged in user, Gmail inbox mails should display. Based on the logged in user, Amazon order history should display. Based on the logged in user, purchased courses should display. To implement all the above requirements, application should remember logged in user data. To implement above requirements, application should remember logged in user data. Application should remember logged in user data. To remember user data, we will use session management in web applications. To remember user data, to remember logged in user data, we will use session management in web applications. To remember logged in user data, we will use session management in web applications. To remember logged in user data, we will use session management in web applications. Are you guys clear why we need to go for session tracking or session management, right? So can you tell me why we need to go for session tracking or session management? Every application should remember which user logged in into the application, which user sending a request to the application. Based on that user, application will perform the operation. So to remember logged in user data, we are going to use session management. By default, application can remember the logged in user data, or application cannot remember the logged in user data. Application cannot remember logged in user data. The reason is we are using HTTP. HTTP is stateless or HTTP is stateful. By default, HTTP is stateless. That means it cannot remember conversation happened between the client and server. We need to make our application as a stateful application. We need to make our application as a stateful application. What is the meaning of making application as a stateful application? What is the meaning of making application as stateful application? Remembering the data given by the client. Which client logged in, which client accessing inbox, which client accessing outbox, that data we need to remember. Now we can implement session management in below ways. Session management can be implemented in below ways. One is by using cookies. Second one is by using hidden fields. hidden form fields. Third one is by using URL rewriting. URL rewriting. Fourth one is HTTP session. Session management can be implemented in below 4 ways. One is by using cookies. Second one is by using hidden form fields. Third one is by using URL rewriting. Fourth one is by using HTTP session. Why very less number? Holy. Tomorrow Spring Boot is starting, no holiday. Holidays are gone. We don't have any holiday. Everybody has to attend the live classes. Backup videos will be uploaded weekly once, not regularly. You have to come to the class. The people who are not coming to the class, they have to attend the live. If you don't attend the live, that is your bad luck. Videos will not be updated on daily basis. Because this module 3, if you attend module 3 properly, if you practice properly, then only I can show you the job. If you sit in the hostel, if you don't come to the class, then you should not ask me about the job tomorrow. If you really want to get the job, then you have to come to the class and you have to practice the projects. Right. Backup videos for sure will not be uploaded on daily basis. Only Sunday, last week videos will be uploaded. That's it. Daily 2 hours class will be available. Spring Boot 5 to 7 class will be available. Morning 9 to 11 project class will be available. Project from 15th, March 15th from 9 a.m. offline class. Yeah. Freshers? Drives? Yeah, will come. Will come. Right. Session management can be implemented in how many ways, guys? Session management can be implemented in 4 ways. What are the 4 ways? One is by using cookies. Second one is by using hidden form fields. Third one is by using URL rewriting. Fourth one, HTTP session. Not recommended. Right. Cookies, not recommended. This is the best approach. Cookies, if you say cookies is the best approach, I can disable cookies in my browser. Then your application will not work. You got my point? So you can develop your application by using cookie, but in the browser, we can disable the cookies. If you disable cookies in the browser, then application functionality will not work. So this is the best approach to manage session, right? Google is not saying that. In the Google, some blogs you referred. It will push it. It will push it. But we can disable cookies in the browser. Sorry? Session tracking API. What is that? No, in the servlets, we have these 4 ways. Okay. Yeah. So session management, you understand theoretically what is the purpose of going for session management? What is the purpose of going for session management? Session management is used to maintain user information. To make our application stateful, we are going for session management. What is the meaning of making our application stateful? What is the meaning of making our application stateful? Remembering the logged in user data. Now, so how many ways are there to implement that session management in the servlets? 4 ways are available. What are the 4 ways? One is cookies. Second one is hidden form field. Third one is URL rewriting. Fourth one is HTTP session. Out of these four, which one is recommended? HTTP session is recommended. Now, let me develop one application by using cookie. Okay, first let me create one project by using cookie and you will understand. Dynamic web project, cookie application, cookies web app. Click on next, next, web.xml, click on finish. Now let me copy the jar file. Servlet API.jar is required for me. Main web app lib, right. Servlet API jar file is available. Refresh. Okay. So here I'm going to create one servlet class as first servlet. First servlet is available. Let me make it as servlet by using web servlet URL pattern. I'm giving as first. Let me write a method called doGet method, extends from HTTP servlet. Extends HTTP servlet. Let's override doGet method. doGet method. Now, I just want to send some response to the client by using response.getWriter. Response.getWriter. It is giving me print writer object. Let me take it as out. Okay. Out.print. I'm from first servlet. Just I want to print a message. Append or print, anything is fine. So this is first servlet. This is first servlet. Now, so similarly, I want to create a second servlet also. I want to create a second servlet. Now, second servlet, let me make it as second. This is second servlet. Run this application. Run on server. Next and finish. Application started. Let's go for first. This is first servlet and let me access second servlet. Second servlet. Okay. Now, whatever the data that is executing by the first servlet, second servlet should be able to capture the data. Now see here, I'm going to take my application here. First servlet is available and here second servlet is available. First servlet and second servlet. So let me make it as first servlet and second servlet. Here client is available. Client is getting a request to first servlet. Okay. So this is client application. Client application. Client application is sending a request to first servlet. Client application sending a request to first servlet. This is a request. Now, first servlet is sending response to the client along with the cookie. Hey boss, store this client data as a cookie. Cookie is nothing but small information which will store at the browser. Response plus cookie. Response plus cookie. So this cookie I'm sending to the client. First client is sending a request to the first servlet. First servlet will send some response to the client by using cookie. Cookie nothing but small piece of information in the form of key and value. Now, when the client is sending second request, that cookie also will go in the request. Where that cookie will be available? Cookie will be available in the browser. Second request will go request plus cookie. Request plus cookie will go to the client server. Then server will process that request. Server will send response to the client if cookie is present. If a cookie is present, then only it will process that. Now response will be sent to the client. So like this here, first you will send your username and password. If username and password is valid, then servlet will send the response along with the cookie. Cookie nothing but small piece of information will be represented in the form of key and value. Where that cookie will be stored? Cookie will be stored in the browser. Next time, when client send a request, along with the request, cookie also will go to the server. If a cookie is present, then only that second request will be processed. If the cookie is not present, second request will not be processed. Like this, we can maintain user data by using cookies. But is this recommended approach or not recommended approach? Not recommended. Why it is not recommended? Every time server has to send the cookie to the client, client has to send the cookie to the server. That is fine. And second thing is, some people will disable cookies in the browser. If people disable cookies in the browser, application will not work. My application is completely running based on the cookie. So for simple example, let's take this is a Gmail application. This is a Gmail login functionality. You are trying to log in into Gmail. Let me sign out. Okay. You are trying to log in into the Gmail by using your email ID and password, something like this. Okay. You are logging into this. Your login is successful. When your login is successful, what the Gmail will do is, it will take your email ID, it will store in the cookie, it will send the cookie to the browser. Now, your email ID will be available in the browser as a cookie. Next time, when you send a request to the Gmail, your email ID also will go to the server in the cookie. If email ID present in the cookie, then only that request will be processed. Otherwise, request will not be processed. For example, I am using Gmail. I disabled cookies in the browser. Then can I use Gmail in my system? I cannot use it. So is this the best approach to maintain user data? Is it the best approach to maintain session in the application? No, this is not the best approach to maintain the session. Let's see. Now I'm creating my first application. Let me create one cookie and let me store that cookie. Now see here, I'm going to create a cookie object. Cookie C1 is equal to new cookie. Cookie object I have created. For the cookie object, we can pass the name and value. I'm passing my email in the cookie. Okay. My email ID I'm setting. You got my point? I created a object for cookie, right? Now cookie object I have created. Let me add that cookie response dot add cookie of C1. Now, whenever a request comes to the first servlet, can you tell me what I am doing in that? What my first servlet is doing? What my first servlet is doing? My first servlet is processing the request. It is storing the data in the cookie and it is sending some response. This is first servlet. Okay. Now here, once I send a request to the first servlet, it will process the request. It will send the response along with the cookie. Then I'm sending a request to the second servlet. What I can do in the second servlet? Second servlet will access that cookie. Okay. Request dot get cookies. Second servlet is getting the cookies data. Now cookies, multiple cookies we can store. Second servlet is getting the cookies. Now if cookies not equal to null, if cookies not equal to null, then only I'm going to process that. Now cookies dot cookies not equal to null, cookies is an array, cookies of 0 dot get value. I'm getting the cookie value. Let me print that value. System dot out dot println whatever the value is available. If value is not equal to null, if the value not equal to null, that means if the value present in the cookie, then only I'm going to process. If value is not equal to null, if value is not equal to null, then only I will process this. Otherwise, I will send error response. Otherwise, I will send error response. Okay, here I will send that out.println, out.print, invalid request. Invalid request. Now, in the first servlet, what I will do is I'm going to take request dot get parameter or some value anyhow. So now here I'm having a first servlet. My first servlet is having a doGet method. In the doGet method, we are creating cookie object and we are sending that cookie to the browser. From the browser, we are sending a second request. When we send a second request, my second servlet is expecting the cookie value. If the value is present in the cookie, then only it will process the request. Otherwise, it will not process the request. Now, let me keep the breakpoint. Here I'm keeping a breakpoint. Here also I'm keeping a breakpoint. Debug as debug on server. Next, finish. Second servlet should process the request if cookie is present. If cookie is present, then only it should process the request. Now, let me access second servlet. Debug breakpoint is available. Directly I'm accessing my second servlet. When I'm accessing my second servlet, what is happening? It is getting cookies. So now, do we have anything in the cookies? Cookies are not available. Okay, sorry, I think we have done mistake. Here, 1 minute, guys. That logic should be available here also. If cookie is not equal to null, then only I will process. If cookie is null, then what I will do? Invalid request. Right. Fine. Refresh. Run debug as debug on server. Next, finish. Yeah. I'm trying to access my second servlet. When I'm trying to access my second servlet, request is sent to the second servlet. Now observe print writer object, cookies available or not available. So cookies not available. If cookies not available, then what it is saying that? It is saying that invalid request. My server is not able to understand which user is trying to access the application. Okay. Now first I will send the request to first servlet. Now send the request to first servlet. When I send the request to first servlet, what the first servlet is doing? It is storing a cookie in the response and print writer response. Now what happened? This is first servlet. I'm able to access my first servlet. So when I access first servlet, what happened? Request is sent, response came. Only we got the message as a response, or we got the cookie also? We got the cookie also. Now let us send a request for second servlet. When I send a request for the second servlet, observe cookies. This time cookies are null, cookies are available. Cookies are available. How the cookie is available? When I send a request for the first servlet, it sends the cookie to the browser. When I send a second request, by default, cookie is sent to the server. Cookie is available. Let me get the value from the cookie. Can you see my email ID coming from the cookie? If this email ID is available, then we are processing our request. Now you can see that response came from the second servlet. So am I able to make my application as stateful? Am I able to make my application as stateful? So when you access second servlet directly, that is not accepting your request. When you send a request for second servlet earlier, that is not accepted. When you send the request for first servlet, it accepted that request because there is no conditional check here. Directly, it is taking the request and it is creating a cookie. It is sending the cookie to the browser. Whenever you send a request for the second servlet, cookie also sent to the server. As the cookie is present, then it processes that request and it send the response to the client. Okay guys, now in the Gmail, how many functionalities will be available? How many times we need to create the cookie and we need to send the cookie? Several times we need to create the cookie and we need to send the cookie. That is not at all recommended. Cookies will store at the browser. Developers, I am a programmer, I can disable cookies in the browser, then our application will not work. Are you clear with my point? Take this diagram. First, keep side heading cookies. Cookies. Cookie is a small information. Cookie is a small piece of information. Cookie is a small piece of information. Cookie is a small piece of information which will store in browser. Cookie will represent data in the form of key value pair. Cookie will represent data in key value pair. Cookie will represent data in key value pair. Cookie will represent data in the key value pair. We can create cookie. We can create cookie object like below. We can create cookie object like below. Cookie C1 is equal to new cookie, key comma value. Key is email, value is my mail ID. Like this, we can store the data in the form of key value pair. We can store the data in the form of key value pair by using cookies. It will increase the weight on the browser. Yeah, that is one of the reason it is not recommended. Second reason, people will disable the cookies. So cookies are not at all recommended. Yeah, clear guys. Yeah. Now you see, I am writing one first servlet. I will give this example. I am writing one first servlet. In the first servlet, whenever a request comes to the first servlet, assume that it is a login servlet. It will verify your username and password. If your username and password is correct, it will create the cookie. It will send the response along with the cookie. Whenever you send a next request with the cookie, if a cookie is present, your request will be processed. If cookie is not present, your request will not be processed. Like this, we can make our application as a stateful application by using cookies. But what is the problem? What is the problem? People can disable cookies in the browser. If people disable cookie in the browser, then people cannot use our application. Now, remember, note that point. Note that point. If a client disable cookies in browser, then cookie based web application will not work. If a client disable cookies in browser, then cookie based web application will not work. If a client disable cookies in browser, then cookie based web applications will not work. Hence, cookies are not recommended to make, cookies are not recommended to use. are not recommended to use. Now, for understanding purpose, I will give this code, guys. This is my first servlet. This is my first servlet. Whenever request comes to the first servlet, it will process that request and it will send the cookie. My second servlet will work only if the cookie is present. Otherwise, it will not work. This is my second servlet. So if you observe, if you access second servlet directly, it will not work. If second servlet wants to work, then cookie should present in the request. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. First, you need to send the request to first servlet. It will create the cookie. It will add the cookie to the response that will come to the browser. When you send a second request for the second servlet, it will check if cookie is present or not. If cookie is present, then only it will process the request. Otherwise, it will not process that request. So, can I develop stateful web application by using cookie? Yes, we can do it. But what is the problem? User will disable cookies in the browser. By knowing or without knowing, if they disable cookies in the browser, our application will not work. Now, to overcome this problem, we will go for another approach, that is hidden field. What is the second approach, guys? Hidden field is available. Hidden field is available. Now, let me develop another application by using hidden field. File, new, dynamic project, hidden form fields app. Next application, hidden form fields app, web.xml, finish. Guys, all these concepts will come in the Spring Web MVC also. Keep the jar. Yeah. Lib folder contains the jar file. Now, let's go for servlet. Request class. I'm taking my first servlet. In.Ashok ID first servlet. Okay. Extends from HTTP servlet. First servlet. Extends HTTP servlet. How to make it as a servlet? Web servlet. Let's go for first servlet. You understand the concept, right? If you want to access second servlet, first client should send a request to first servlet. First servlet will make user data. First servlet will maintain the user data. Then only second servlet can process. Now, this is do get method. Okay. Response dot get writer. We are getting print writer out dot print writer out dot print. I'm writing some message. This is my first servlet, right? Similarly, we will go for second servlet. Second servlet should execute based on the first servlet. Now go to second servlet, make this as second. This is second servlet. Now let me run this, refresh, run on server, next and finish. I'm running this application. Yeah. So go for, sorry. Let me run this again. Run on server, next and finish. Restart the server. Yeah. I'm able to access first servlet and I'm able to access second servlet also. I'm able to access first servlet and I'm able to access second servlet. Is there any concept of hidden field as of now? There is no concept of hidden field as of now. So let me stop my server. Let me stop it. Run this once again. run as run on server. Directly, I'm sending the request for second servlet. Directly, I'm sending the request for second servlet. Am I able to access the second servlet directly? Yes, but we should not do like that. Application should remember user data by using first servlet. If a first servlet is executed, then only I want to process the second servlet. So let us create one hidden field here. How can we create one hidden field? I want to send hidden field in the response. Okay. So for this, create out dot print. How to create a hidden field, guys? Input type is equal to hidden. Input type is equal to hidden. Input type is equal to hidden. Name is equal to username. Yeah. Name is equal to username. Value is equal to some value. Name is equal to username, some value. Right? Input type is equal to hidden. Name is equal to username. Value is equal to Raja. Something like this. Now. Escape characters. Input type is equal to hidden. Perfect. Now input type is equal to hidden. I'm sending a hidden variable to the browser. It can be a form also. Out.println out.print form action is equal to second. Form action is equal to second. I'm sending one hidden field in the form. Now here I will be giving one more thing. Input type is equal to submit. Input type is equal to submit. Value is equal to submit. When you click on the submit, it shall call the second servlet. Now let us close this form. These all are not recommended concepts, guys. Right. Yeah. What I am doing in the first servlet, can you see? Creating a form with the hidden variable value I am keeping as Raja. So now it will go to second servlet. What I will do in the second servlet, I will capture request dot get parameter of what is the key? Uname. Now, if it is available, then only I will process. If uname not equal to null and uname not equals to empty. If uname not equal to null and if uname not equals to empty, then only that request will be processed. If uname not equal to null, not equal to empty, then only that request will be processed. Otherwise, we are not going to process that request. We will simply say that invalid request. We'll simply say that it is invalid request. See, whenever request comes to the first servlet, it is creating one form with the hidden variable and submit button. When you click on the submit, it will call the second servlet. What the second servlet is doing, if value comes from the hidden variable, then only that is a valid request, it will be processed. Otherwise, it will not be processed. Right click, run on server, next and finish. Yeah. Now let's try to access our second servlet. Is it allowing? Second servlet is not allowing. Why second servlet is not allowing the request? Hidden variable is not available. Hidden variable is not available. Let me send a request to first servlet. I'm sending the request to first servlet. This is a servlet. First servlet, a form is coming. Is it displaying as a HTML page or it is not displaying as a HTML page? It is not displaying as a HTML page. What to do to make it as a HTML page? Now, right, we need to set response dot content type. We need to represent that this is a HTML data. Response dot set content type text/HTML. We are going to set it as a text/HTML. Now, text/HTML. Okay, good. Let's run this once again. Run on server, next and finish. Yeah, send the request for the first servlet. Then what is happening now? Submit button is coming. When I click on the submit, second servlet is executed or not. Now you see, for the second servlet, username is sent in the URL. So whenever we send a request to the first servlet is sending username in the hidden variable. Whenever you send the request second time, that hidden variable will go to the server in the form of URL. Then the data is processed. Second servlet is executed. Is this recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. Why? Every time server should send the hidden variable to client has to send the data to server. Lot of times data will exchange from client to server. That's why this concept also not recommended. Are you guys clear with my point? So in the session management, we have seen there are multiple ways available. What is the first approach? Cookie. Why cookies are not recommended? People can disable cookies at the browser side. Then application will not work. Then next one is hidden variable. What is the problem with the hidden variable? Every time server should send the hidden field to client. Client has to submit the hidden field to server. Lot of information will exchange between the client and server. That's why it is not recommended. Next, make a point. Hidden variable. Hidden variables. Hidden form fields, I can say. Hidden form fields. Hidden form fields. By using hidden form fields, we can make our application as stateful. By using hidden form fields, we can make our application as stateful. Server will send hidden form field to client and client will submit hidden form field to server. Server will send hidden form field to client and client will submit hidden form field to server. As the data is exchanging several times, between client and server. It is not recommended as the data is exchanging several times between the client and server. It is not recommended to make application as stateful. This is one of the approach we can use, but not recommended. By using hidden form fields, we can make our application as stateful. Server will send a hidden form field to client and client will submit hidden form field to server. Now observe this application. First, I'm sending a request to first servlet. I'm sending the request to first servlet. What the first servlet is doing? It is creating one hidden form field by using form tag, hidden variable available, submit button is available. So whenever you send a request to first servlet, hidden field will come. Then when client submit that, that hidden field going to server in the URL. So if the hidden field is available in the URL, then second servlet will take that data, will process that data. If that, suppose, for example, if I don't send it, if hidden field is not sending to the server, then what is happening? Is it processing our request or not processing our request? So for every request, client should send the data to server. Server should send the data to client. Client should send the data to server. Then only it can process. Otherwise, it cannot remember which client is sending that data. As several times data is exchanging between the client and server, it is not recommended to make our application as stateful. Good. Third one is URL rewriting. URL rewriting. URL rewriting. URL rewriting means modifying the URL, writing the data to the URL. This is not at all recommended. Security constraint. Now, see, first servlet is available, guys. I'm removing all these things. Now, here, I'm going to specify print writer out is equal to response.getWriter out dot println or something like this we can say. I want to change the URL. URL rewriting means modifying the URL, appending client identity to the URL and send the response. Right. Print writer out is equal to response.getWriter. Now here what we do is whenever client send a request to the first servlet will redirect the request to second servlet with the URL modification. Request dot or send redirect or anything. Request dot response dot send redirect. I will make like this. http://localhost:8080. What is our application name? Hidden form field second question mark username is equal to some Raja, something like this. Okay, guys. Now I'm redirecting the request to second servlet. Now I'm modifying the request. Run on server. Next, finish. Send the request to first servlet. Observe the URL. When I send the request to first servlet, what happened? URL appended. Now see, I'm sending the request to first servlet. What it is doing? It is redirecting to second servlet. When it is redirecting, what happened? Data is appended to the URL. You are sending a request to one URL. It is redirecting to the another URL by appending some data in the URL. That is customizing the URL. That is called modifying the URL. We are preparing the URL to process the next request. That is called URL rewriting. Make a point. It is used to append. It is used to append. It is used to append client data to URL by it is used to append client data by modifying the URL. By modifying URL. Example. Yeah, like this you can customize the URL. It is used to append client data. It is used to append client data by modifying URL. It is used to append client data by modifying the URL. Data is visible in the URL. Data is visible in URL. Hence, it is not recommended approach. Data is visible in the URL, hence it is not recommended approach. Data is visible in URL, hence it is not recommended approach. Sir, what is the meaning of URL rewriting? Are you able to understand that? What is the meaning of URL rewriting? Modifying the URL by appending that. Modifying the URL. Right? Content types. That means what data we are sending as a response to the browser, that we are representing by using content type. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Next one. HTTP session, guys. This is the important and recommended. HTTP session. HTTP session. It is used to maintain user session. It is used to maintain. It is used to maintain user session data. It is used to maintain user session data. It is highly recommended. It is highly recommended approach. It is a highly recommended approach to develop stateful web applications. It is a highly recommended approach to develop stateful web applications. HTTP session, it is used to maintain user session data. It is a highly recommended approach to develop stateful web application. When user logged in successfully, we will create session object. We will create session object and we will store user data in session. When user log out from the application, when user log out from the application, we will remove the session object. For every user, one session object will be created. For every user, one session object will be created. HTTP session is the most recommended approach to develop stateful web applications. HTTP session is the most recommended approach to develop stateful web applications. When user login successfully, we will create the session object and we will store user data in the session. When user log out from the application, we will remove the session object. For every user, one session object will be created. For every user, only one session object will be created. For every user, one session object will be created. For every user, one session object will be created. Fine, guys. Now see how we are going to create the session. Let me use this first application. This is my first servlet. Whenever request comes to the first servlet, I'm going to take request dot get session. I'm getting HTTP session. Session dot set attribute. In the session, I'm going to set the username. In the session, I'm setting my username. Okay. Then I'm going to set response dot get writer dot print user session created. User session created. Now, whenever request comes to the first servlet, what I am doing in the first servlet? I'm creating a session object. I'm storing the username in the session. Then I'm sending user session created. Now go to second servlet. When the second servlet should execute? When the second servlet should execute? If the data is available in the session, then only it should execute. Now, here guys, when I am calling request.get session, a new session object will be created. What is this? New session object will be created. Now, when it comes to the second servlet should create the new session. Second servlet should use the existing session. It should use the existing session. Now, let's go for request dot get session of false. I'm going to set this as a false value. What is the meaning of the false value? It will give the existing session object. Whenever you send a request to the first servlet, request.get session, new session object will be created. Here, request.get session of false, it will return existing session object. Because first servlet already created the session. Second servlet should give the existing session. Then here what I need to do is session dot get attribute of uname. Session dot get attribute of uname. So if the username is available in the session, then only it should execute. Let me keep this in the string uname. Typecast it. Get attribute will give the username. I'm storing this in the uname variable. Sorry, string variable. String typecasting. All right. This is the second servlet, invalid request. So when the second servlet will process, if user is available in the session, then only it will process. Otherwise, it will not process that request. Now, suppose if you create another servlet, logout servlet. In the application, we want to implement a logout functionality. What we will do in the logout functionality? We need to remove the session, right? When user is logout from the application, then what we need to do? We need to remove the session. Now see here, logout servlet. Logout servlet. Here I will make it as logout. Good. Now HTTP session get attribute. So simply we are going to get the session object and we are going to remove the data from the session. How to remove the data from the session? First, simply we are going to say session dot invalidate. What is the meaning of session dot invalidate? Invalidate the session, remove the session. User logged out successfully. User logged out. Perfect. Now, yes, logout timing session timeout also we can set. Set expiry time. After 5 minutes, I want to remove the session object. Like that also you can do. If you don't use application for 2 minutes, logout. Session timeout. Run as run on server. Now, let me access second servlet. Will it be accessible? It is failed. Request.get attribute because session is null. Okay, no session is available. Here, session.get attribute I'm calling directly. It is failing. So when we need to execute this, if session is not equal to null. First of all, session itself is not available. That's why it is failed. Session not equal to null. Then only I need to access this. If a session is not equal to null, then only access this. First of all, session should be created. If session is not equal to null, then we cannot access that. Now, so stop the server, run it, run as run on server. Yeah, go to second servlet. What is the response we are getting for the second servlet? Why we are getting invalid request? Session user data is not available in the session. Application don't know which user is trying to access, right? So first let's send a request for first servlet. Send a request for first servlet. Then what happened? User session created. Now send a request for second servlet. This is second servlet. Now let me close that session. What I'm doing is log out. When I do log out, what happened? User logged out. Now access second servlet, invalid. Session should be valid. User data should be available in the session. Then only your request will be processed. Otherwise, your request cannot be processed. Yeah, make a note. Make a note. Creating the session object. New session object will be created. Huh? Yeah, new session object will be created like this. New session object will be created like this. Guys, if anybody planning to purchase a new laptop, take the Dell laptops. Dell service is excellent. My laptop keyboard was, I told that my laptop got broken. Those people came to my house and they have given me a new keyboard. They have completely replaced that keyboard of the laptop. Service is excellent. I think the remaining Lenovo, HP also not that much. So if you say that HP, some of the laptop keyboard is not working. First they will come and check is it working or not. Then they will replace. Dell people are not like that. If you raise a complaint, directly they are sending the new part to your house. On-site is there. That is what we need to take that on-site warranty. 3 years extra warranty I have taken. Today morning that people came to my house and they have completely replaced that keyboard. It's working now. ऐसी हो गया. It is I mean, even it did not fell down also. My phone suddenly, all of a sudden it got switched off. It is not getting switch on. No, I did not use that. Pata nahi why. Actually, I need to give to mobile shop. I did not get time. Today I will go there. I kept my SIM card in my wife mobile. By seeing the number of calls I'm getting, she gave the mobile to me. You keep it with you. Completed? Yeah. Now checking the session data. Like this, you can check the session data. Verifying the session. So here I am verifying the session. Session is not equal to null, then I will get the username. If username not equal to null, then only we will process the request. Process request. Send error response. Send error response. By storing user data in the session, we will make our application as a stateful application. So first time when user logged in successfully, we will create the session and we'll store the data in the session. When user is trying to access any other functionality, we will check the data is available in the session or not. If data is available in the session, then only we will process the request. Otherwise, we will not process the request. When user log out from the application, then what we will do? We are going to invalidate the session. Now, removing the session, closing the session object. Closing session object. Closing the session object. Get existing session object. Then once you get the existing session object, you need to call session.invalidate. That is used to remove the session. That is used to remove the session. Session.invalidate. Yeah. So with this, we understood what is session, how to create the session, right? So can you tell me, guys, what is the meaning of session management? Session is basically used to store the user data. So when user login into the application, then we are going to create the session object. When user accessing any other application, we are going to check the data is present in the session or not. If the data is present in the session, then only we will process that request. If data is not present in the session, then we are going to throw error response. When user log out from the application, then we will say remove the session object. When the session is not active, user cannot access our application. Good. Fine, guys. Good. Thank you. So with this, we completed our advanced Java concepts. From tomorrow, we are going to start Spring Boot. Tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. class is going to start. Offline people should come to offline. Online people should go to online. Backup videos will be uploaded weekly once. So I want everybody to be in the live session. Daily 2 hours class will be available. Don't miss the classes, which is very, very, very important to get the job as a Java developer. Even for the freshers also, they are asking Spring Boot. Right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.